There is a moment that almost everyone reaches eventually. It might happen at 60, it might happen at 65, or perhaps it has already happened to you. You wake up one morning. The house is quiet. There is nowhere you urgently need to be. No boss is waiting for you. No alarm is forcing you out of bed. The children who once filled your home have grown up. The career that once consumed your life is over. And for the first time in decades, you have time. But instead of feeling completely free, you feel something you didn't expect. You feel lost. You walk into the kitchen, make your coffee, sit down, and suddenly a question appears in your mind. What do I do now? For 40 years, your life had a schedule: work, family, responsibilities, deadlines, problems to solve, people who needed you. And then suddenly, the calendar becomes almost completely empty. At first, that sounds like paradise. But after a few months, something strange can happen. The golf becomes repetitive, the television becomes boring, the house becomes quieter, the conversations become fewer, and the silence that once felt peaceful starts to feel like absence. This is where many people begin to slowly disappear, not physically, but mentally. They stop learning, they stop exploring, they stop challenging themselves, they stop feeling needed. And eventually, they stop expecting anything exciting from tomorrow. But here's the part I want you to remember. Growing older does not mean you have to stop growing. In fact, the years after 60 can become some of the most meaningful years of your entire life. The ancient Stoics understood something about aging that modern society often forgets. Your body will age. You cannot negotiate with time. But your curiosity, discipline, purpose, wisdom, and character don't have to retire. And that is what we're talking about today. 7 hobbies that don't simply help you pass the time after 60, but can help you keep your mind active, your body engaged, your purpose alive, and your spirit strong. And I want you to stay until number 7. Because the final hobby isn't just about having fun. It forces you to confront one of the greatest truths of life. And paradoxically, it can make you appreciate life more deeply than ever before. Let's begin. Welcome back to Stoic Horizon, where ancient philosophy becomes practical wisdom for modern life. If you're new here, this channel is about taking the timeless lessons of thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus and turning them into ideas you can actually use. Especially during the chapters of life when the world changes around you, because let's be honest, retirement is often sold as the ultimate reward. You work for decades, and then finally you get to rest. No deadlines, no meetings, no commute, no boss, just relaxation. And for a while, it feels wonderful. But then something happens. The days begin blending together. Monday doesn't feel different from Saturday. You wake up without a reason to get out of bed. You tell yourself you'll start something tomorrow, then tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. And before you realize it, months have disappeared. The Stoics would have recognized this danger immediately. They believed that human beings aren't designed merely to consume time. We're designed to use ourselves, to learn, to contribute, to practice virtue, to create, to serve, to improve. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself that a human being has a role to fulfill. Purpose wasn't an optional luxury. It was part of what it meant to be alive. So perhaps the question after 60 shouldn't be, how can I keep myself busy? That's too small. The better question is, how can I use this new freedom to become wiser, stronger, healthier, and more useful? Because here's something you may not have considered. The 7 or 8 hours you suddenly have available every day aren't empty hours. They are freedom, a kind of freedom you may not have experienced since childhood. And what you do with that freedom may determine whether your later years become a period of decline or one of the greatest chapters of your life. So let's look at 7 hobbies that can help you make that chapter count. And as we go through them, I want you to think about your own life. Which one is already part of your routine? Which one have you always wanted to try? Let's begin with the simplest one, and don't underestimate it. Hobby number 1, walking with attention. Walking. It sounds almost too simple, but that's exactly why most people underestimate it. Yes, walking is good for your body. It can support cardiovascular health, balance, mobility, and overall physical activity. But there is another kind of walking, and this is where the Stoic lesson becomes interesting. Walking can become a practice of attention. Think about how most people walk today. Headphones on, phone in hand, podcast playing, messages coming in, notifications buzzing. Their body is outside, but their mind is somewhere else. The Stoics would have encouraged something different. They believed in paying attention to the world directly in front of you. Marcus Aurelius spent long periods traveling with armies and observing the world around him: nature, weather, animals, people, the changing seasons. He repeatedly reminded himself to see reality clearly rather than living lost inside his own thoughts. So here's a challenge. Tomorrow morning, go for a walk. Leave the phone in your pocket. Don't play music. Don't listen to a podcast. Just walk. And give yourself one simple mission. Notice 5 things you've never really noticed before. Maybe it's the way sunlight falls across a wall, the sound of a particular bird, the shape of a tree, a crack in an old sidewalk, the smell of the air after rain, something you've walked past hundreds of times without seeing. Why? Because you're training something more important than your legs. You're training your attention, and attention is one of the most valuable things you possess. A distracted mind is constantly somewhere else. A trained mind can actually inhabit the moment it's living, and that becomes increasingly valuable as we get older. A story you may recognize. Consider a retired teacher. We'll call her Elena. She spent nearly 4 decades teaching children. For most of her adult life, she had somewhere to be. Students were waiting. Lessons needed preparing. Parents needed answers. Every day had structure. Then she retired. At first, she loved it. She slept late, watched television, spent time at home. But after several months, something changed. She told her daughter, "I feel like I'm disappearing." Her memory felt less sharp. Her mood became flatter. She wasn't excited about much anymore. Her daughter suggested something incredibly simple. "Mom, go for a walk every morning." Eleanor wasn't impressed. She thought, how is walking going to fix this? But she agreed. There was only one rule: no phone, no music, just walk. At first, she found it pointless. Then something slowly changed. She began noticing things. A bird that returned to the same tree, flowers appearing at different times of the year, the changing light in the morning, people walking their dogs, children going to school. The world suddenly became interesting again. 3 months later, she told her daughter, "The walk is now my favorite part of the day." Not because she was obsessed with exercise, because she had rediscovered something she thought retirement had taken away: curiosity. And that's the Stoic lesson. Walking isn't merely about getting steps. It's about reminding your mind, stay awake, you're still here. So tomorrow, go outside, walk slowly, look around, and notice what you've been missing. Hobby number 2, reading a conversation with the dead. Now let's move from the body to the mind. The second hobby is reading, but not endless scrolling, not jumping from one headline to another, not consuming hundreds of pieces of information and remembering almost none of them. I'm talking about deep reading. Seneca had an interesting attitude toward books. He wasn't impressed by people who simply read enormous quantities. His concern was whether the book actually changed the reader. Imagine meeting someone who has traveled to 50 countries, but never stayed anywhere long enough to understand the people. They've seen everything, but experienced very little deeply. Seneca believed reading could become the same way. You can read 50 books and barely remember any of them. Or you can read 5 books slowly, return to them, write in the margins, think about the ideas, and allow those ideas to become part of you. That's a completely different kind of reading. And after 60, this becomes especially valuable, because retirement can remove a huge amount of intellectual stimulation from everyday life. No meetings, no deadlines, no workplace problems, no constant decisions, and without intentional mental activity, your world can become smaller. Reading can expand it again. The most powerful thing about a book. There is another reason I love the Stoic approach to reading. Seneca described reading philosophy as something like a conversation with the dead. Think about how extraordinary that is. You open a book written nearly 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius begins speaking to you, a man who lived under completely different circumstances, yet struggled with many of the same things: anger, fear, death, responsibility, relationships, discipline, purpose. He wrote private thoughts that weren't originally intended for an audience. And now, centuries later, you can sit quietly in your home and listen to him think. That's not just reading, that's companionship across time. And for someone whose social circle becomes smaller with age, that can be incredibly meaningful. You can open a book at midnight, at 6 in the morning, on a rainy afternoon, and someone from another century is still there, still talking, still teaching, still challenging you. Hobby number 3, gardening, learning to love reality. Now we're leaving the pages of a book and putting our hands into the soil. The third hobby is gardening. And there's a reason gardens seem to appear in stories about peaceful old age across almost every culture. A garden teaches something modern life constantly tries to hide from us. You cannot control everything. Think about planting a tomato. You can prepare the soil. You can water it, you can give it sunlight, you can protect it from pests, but you cannot stand over it and scream, "Grow faster." Nature doesn't care about your impatience. A garden moves according to its own rhythm, and that makes gardening an almost perfect lesson in the Stoic principle of control. Epictetus built much of his philosophy around one essential distinction: some things are within our control, other things are not. Your effort, yours. Your choices, yours. The weather, not yours. The harvest, not entirely yours. You plant, you care, you protect, then you let go. That is Stoicism in physical form. Stoicism. Hobby number 4, the Stoic journal. Now we go inward. The fourth hobby is journaling, but not the kind where you simply write, "Today I went shopping. Today I watched television. Today, I had lunch." The Stoics had a much more powerful purpose for writing. They used writing as a way to examine themselves. Think about Marcus Aurelius. The book we now know as Meditations wasn't originally written to become a famous philosophical work. It was essentially a private conversation with himself. He was reminding himself how he wanted to live, correcting himself, challenging himself, preparing himself. And that's important because retirement removes something most people don't realize they depended on: external accountability. During your working years, someone was always expecting something from you. A boss, a client, a deadline, a colleague, a family member. There was structure. After retirement, much of that disappears. And without structure, discipline can slowly disappear too. A Stoic journal can rebuild that structure, but now you become your own teacher, your own coach, your own accountability partner. Try this tonight. Get a simple notebook, nothing expensive, nothing complicated. Every night, answer 3 questions. Question 1, what did I do well today? Not, gee, how much money did I make? Instead, where did I show patience? Where did I control my anger? Where did I show courage? Question 2, where did I fail? Did you become impatient? Did you waste time? Did you complain unnecessarily? Did you let anger control you? Be honest. But don't attack yourself. The purpose isn't shame, it's improvement. Question 3. What will I do differently tomorrow? Not 10 things, just one specific improvement, 10 minutes, every evening. Imagine doing that for 1 year. You would have an entire record of your personal transformation. You wouldn't simply be passing through retirement. You'd be building yourself. Hobby number 5, craftsmanship, become a beginner again. Now let's do something different. Let's work with our hands. The 5th hobby is craftsmanship. Woodworking, pottery, leatherwork, model building, metalwork, instrument repair, painting, anything where your hands create something real. Why? Because craftsmanship gives you something increasingly rare in modern life. Honest feedback. Wood doesn't care about your job title. Clay doesn't care about your reputation. A piece of furniture doesn't care how successful you were. If the measurement is wrong, the piece doesn't fit. If the joint is weak, it breaks. If you rush, the mistake becomes visible. There are no office politics, no vague performance reviews. The material simply tells you the truth, and that can be incredibly refreshing. Hobby number 6, mentorship, give your wisdom away. Now we turn outward. Because Stoicism isn't simply about becoming emotionally tough. That's one of the biggest misunderstandings about Stoic philosophy. The Stoics didn't teach, become cold, don't need anyone, detach from humanity. Quite the opposite. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly emphasized that human beings are made for cooperation. We are part of something larger, and that's why the 6th hobby may be one of the most meaningful: mentorship. Think about everything you've learned, your career, your mistakes, your relationships, your failures, your victories, your disappointments, your lessons about money, your lessons about raising children, your lessons about surviving difficult times. How much of that wisdom disappears when you stop working? Too much. And that's tragic, because someone younger might desperately need what you already know. Hobby number 7, physical discipline and memento mori. And now, we've reached number 7, the one I promised you at the beginning. And this one is different because it forces us to confront something most people spend their lives avoiding: mortality. The Stoics had a phrase, memento mori. Remember that you will die. At first, that sounds dark, maybe even depressing. But the Stoics weren't trying to make life miserable. They were trying to make us understand its value. Think about this. If you knew you only had 1 year left, would you waste the same amount of time? Would you spend hours worrying about what someone thinks of you? Would you stay angry about a small insult for 3 days? Would you keep postponing the thing you've always wanted to do? Probably not. Mortality creates clarity. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself that life was temporary, not to become afraid, but to become more intentional. And after 60, mortality stops being an abstract philosophical idea. You begin noticing it. Friends pass away. People you grew up with become ill. Your body changes. Recovery takes longer. You realize something you may have ignored for decades. Time is not unlimited. And the Stoic response isn't panic, it's participation. This is why I recommend a structured physical discipline. Depending on your health and medical situation, this could mean swimming, tai chi, walking, strength training under appropriate supervision, mobility work, balance exercises. The exact activity isn't the point, the principle is. Meet your body where it is today, not where it was at 30, not where you wish it were, not where someone else's body is, your body. Today. Maybe you can't run like you used to. That's okay. Maybe you can't lift what you lifted 30 years ago. That's okay. The question isn't, can I become young again? You can't. The question is, how can I live fully in the body I have today? That's Stoicism. Now step back for a moment. Look at all 7 hobbies: walking, reading, gardening, journaling, craftsmanship, mentorship, physical discipline. They appear completely different, but underneath, they're teaching the same thing. How to live deliberately. Walking teaches you to pay attention. Reading connects you with wisdom. Gardening teaches you to accept what you cannot control. Journaling teaches self-examination. Craftsmanship teaches patience and mastery. Mentorship teaches contribution. Physical discipline teaches you to face mortality without running from life. None of these hobbies are about pretending you're young. The Stoics never promised that. Your body will change, your hair may turn grey, your strength may change, your energy may change. Time will continue moving. The goal isn't to defeat aging. The goal is to age with character, to remain curious, to remain useful, to remain disciplined, to remain connected, to remain alive in the fullest sense of the word. And now I want you to answer one question in the comments, not for the algorithm, for yourself. Which one of these 7 hobbies are you going to start this week? Maybe it's walking, maybe reading, maybe gardening, maybe journaling, maybe craftsmanship, maybe mentorship, maybe physical discipline. Write your answer below. And if you're already doing one of these, tell us your story. Because someone reading your comment may be sitting in a quiet house right now asking, what do I do with the rest of my life? And your story might be exactly what they need to hear. If this video gave you something useful, hit the like button. Subscribe to Stoic Horizon for more practical lessons from Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. Because we're not here simply to learn ancient philosophy, we're here to live it. And remember, you cannot stop time. You cannot stop aging. You cannot control how many years remain. But you can control what you do with the years you have. So don't wait. Don't disappear into endless television. Don't tell yourself that your useful years are over. Don't let an empty calendar convince you that your life is empty. Your calendar may be empty, but your life doesn't have to be. There is still something to learn, something to build, someone to help, something to grow, something to become. And perhaps the greatest chapter of your life hasn't already happened. Perhaps it is waiting for you to begin. Choose wisely, live deliberately, stay curious, stay useful, and most importantly, stay alive to the life you still have. I'll see you in the next video.